Hello, thank you for coming back to my kitchen again. You are very, very welcome as always. Today I've been making a recipe from this book, Around Britain Dairy Cookbook. It's a delicious cider cake. I call it cider and sultana cake. It's very moist. It's so nice. And the smell of the cider. So in this cookbook they have recipes from around the country, from around Britain, and this is from the West Country, which is well known for its cider production. All these sultanas have been soaked in cider overnight, a dry cider, and it is delicious. Not the prettiest of cakes. I've put a little bit of caster sugar over the top to make it a little bit prettier, hopefully, but it well makes up for not being very pretty in the taste, because you get all this taste of the appley cider in those sultanas, and it makes the cake extremely moist. And the smell when you're baking it, when you're mixing it, when you're baking it is just heavenly. So let's have a taste as usual. I'll cut a piece, make it a bit smaller. Oh, I wish we had taste vision and I wish we had smell-o-vision too from, the smells of it. Look at this. Look at that lovely moist cake. It really is exceptional. Anyway, let's get on with showing you how I made it. So first we need to soak the sultanas in the cider overnight. Here I am weighing out 8 ounces or 225 grams of sultanas. And sorry this first bit of the video is a voiceover, but I did not want to film last thing at night in my dressing gown. So 8 ounces or 225 grams of sultanas. Then here I'm measuring out 1/4 pint, that's 150 millilitres of dry cider, and it must be dry cider. And just pour the cider over the sultanas and give them a little mix. Then cover with cling film and put them in the fridge to soak for the night, and they'll be ready to use the next day. Good afternoon. I just want to begin today by showing you these sultanas that have been sucking up all the lovely cider. Look at these sultanas, they're lovely and plump. There is a little bit of liquid left at the bottom, but we will be using all that liquid in the cake. Oh, and the smell that's coming off them, it's delicious. And I took these out of the fridge earlier this morning, so they're about room temperature now, which is better for a cake. I'll just put the cling film back on, because we need to make the cake before putting the sultanas in. Next, we need to grease the tin. So I've just cut a piece of grease-proof paper or parchment paper, so it just comes up above the sides of the tin. And I just make a little mark at each corner with the pencil on the side that's going to face into the tin. We don't want this side with the pencil in the cake side. And just cut up to the mark on each corner. Now I'm going to grease the tin with butter. This is just a little bit of butter to keep the grease-proof paper down into the tin. And excuse this old tin, but it's a very heavy tin. Sometimes these old ones are better than the new ones. And you just push the paper into the tin. Now the recipe for this cake calls for 18 centimetre, which is 7-inch tin, and that's a square tin. But today I'm doing this in a 18 by 27 centimetre or a 7 by 11 inch tin. And I will adjust the cooking time accordingly. In a square tin, if the cake's deeper, the cooking time is more. I cook this for less time than the recipe in the book. It's one of the few variations today from the recipe I'm making. So just butter all up the sides. Make sure you get the paper down into the corners butter the bottom, each corner. There, how easy was that? Now I'm going to put my oven on. That's 180 degrees Celsius, 170 if you've got a fan oven, or 350 if you're Fahrenheit. So into my bowl is going to go 4 ounces of soft butter. And this is very soft butter today as it's quite hot here at the moment. And this recipe says 4 ounces is 110 grams. Normally recipes state that 4 ounces is 100 grams. I'm giving you what this recipe says today. So we'll just cream that. And into this we want to put 4 ounces, or again 110 grams of soft light brown sugar and cream again. I think this recipe is just, or this book, is just a little more precise with its measurements. So give that a scraping down and we'll go again. In my jug I have 2 eggs and we'll give them a quick beat up. And we'll add them gradually, whisking in between. Ooh, that was a lot to start. Now because I did add a lot to start, more than I intended, if you do add more egg, you need to get it all whisked in before adding more. So I'm scraping down the sides. And I'll whisk again before adding any more. Give it another scrape down. In this bowl I have 8 ounces or 225 grams of plain flour, and I'm just going to sieve half of it in. It doesn't have to be precise, just do it by eye. And to this I'm going to add 1 level teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda. And we'll give that a sieve. So we'll fold this flour in before adding the sultanas and the rest of the flour. So this needs to all be incorporated at this point. Now it's here where I'm differing from the recipe today, but only in the method. The recipe says to add the mixture to the sultanas. And that is fine if you have 2 bowls of the same size, but this is quite small, this bowl. I have, let me get you up so I can talk to you. Because I haven't got 2 bowls of this size, if I was off camera, I would have done all the mixing in this bowl and made a terrible mess, so I was not going to do that on camera. So I've kind of done it the other way around with the bowls today. So if you have a bowl of mixing bowl size like this one, it's a good idea to soak the sultanas in that bowl in the fridge overnight, and then you simply tip the mixture on top of the sultanas. Now, because I didn't want to make the big mess in the little bowl, I'm doing it the other way around today, but I'm moving the mixture over to one side of the bowl so my sultanas don't splatter on top, because they're quite heavy with all that liquid. And I will go carefully. I don't want to knock the air out of this batter. So the smell of these in the cider is so delicious. Now I'll just tip it all in. So you tip all the liquids, and there's not much liquid left, as you can see. Let's get that last bit and just fold these in. The reason why we put the flour in before putting the sultanas with the cider in is because the mixture wouldn't have taken this extra liquid without that extra flour in it. There, I think that's enough. And we'll continue putting the rest of the flour in. You can see now why you need 2 bowls of this size. It would have been no good doing it in that tiny bowl. As always, cut through, make sure there's no flour at the bottom of the bowl. Oh, the smell. I wish you could smell this cake. Oh, it smells so delicious. It smells very yeasty. There. And now to put it in the tin. So we'll just spread it out into the tin evenly. Pushing it out to the corners. And before it goes into the oven, I'm going to just sprinkle the top quite liberally with caster sugar. It just makes a bit of a topping for the cake. Again, this is not what was on the recipe book. This is my addition. I do like a little bit of top, and the recipe book it was just left plain. It gives it a nice kind of a crispy topping to it. There. Now if you're baking this in the square tin, it will be deeper. So you'll need to put it in the oven, and I'll just check that. 45 to 60 minutes, which is what the recipe says. I've cooked this a number of times. It's so delicious. And I normally put it in for 28 minutes. So we'll see when it's done today. So it's now had exactly 28 minutes. Let's get it out and see. That's done. Ooh. Oh, look at this. I wish you could smell this if I waft it down the camera. Ah, smells delicious. Anyway, that will stay in the tray for about 10 minutes. Then I'll take it out and put it on the wire rack to cool. Once the cake is cool, cut it into 12 pieces. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If you have, give it the thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope to see you again next week.